Folks, it's Lindsey Huddleston with SPS back in the building for another great SPS Edge Show. We had a little delay with popping on, but we are here. Probably be a little bit delayed on Facebook is what the feedback that I'm getting right now, but we're definitely on YouTube as well as the other platforms that are out there. So with that being said, I want to welcome the crew. I want to welcome Coach Orlando Watkins, Captain America, appropriately so. He's a superhero indeed, doing great things throughout Detroit and beyond. And Terry McCoy, he was able to make it after a great birthday celebration. What, 2 days ago was your birthday, Terry?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Yeah, I think we surprised the world with you, man. People expecting you to have this big, welcome to the, 20s and 30s birthday bash, but he just 2-0, man. Just a young, good dude, man. Somebody said a comment about you. I said, man, he's a young Jedi. That's why I rock with him. So how was your birthday, Terry?
It was good. I had a really good seat to the spring game. I'll talk about that in a minute. But my girlfriend, she surprised me to some suite tickets to the spring game. So we were up there in the suite. A good ministry, Patrick Sauer, shout out Streets 517. Man, someone caught vision of their dream and gifted them, really good tickets, season tickets to the football games, basketball games, and spring game popped over and, he gave them sweet tickets. So he got to bring anywhere in there. So she's working at Sexton. So she was able to get some sweet passes and we were up there watching the spring game. And she threw me a surprise party on Tuesday. So it was a lot of fun. I wasn't expecting any of it, but I mean, I'm just blessed. That's all. I'm just really blessed.
Well deserved. Two things, man. Once you get to experiencing that sweet life, Orlando knows you get real spoiled, man.
It's hard to go back.
Yeah, you know, go up in there. Be like, hey man, you want to go to the game? Like, where the seats at? How are you doing, man? How's everything going with you? How's everything happening in the city? You gotta take a break and kind of check out a little bit as it relates to girls basketball. But how's everything been going with you?
Going real good. Getting ready to sit down with other girls coaches from BCAM and vote on our postseason honors. So you get a small little break and then it's right back to work. So
right back to
working
work.
on some things. Yeah, girls summer league, a boys summer league for the summer. So
yeah, with good things ahead. We'll keep everyone posted. We're gonna get right into the show today. I got some very interesting topics. I'm gonna start with one. Right out the shoot, man. We'll go for one that I think has the ability to really stir some conversation. But as Orlando said a long time ago, we're a progressive sports talk show. But let's talk about transgender wrestlers. This is definitely a topic. We know that trans individuals in sports is a topic. Some states going as far, some 30 states going as far as banning individuals who are trans. In this particular case, that young man, and let me just preference this, because I don't necessarily think that our viewers may have issue with the topic, but I don't want anything to be said by myself or my guys to be perceived as being, anything from transphobic, if that's an appropriate term, homophobic, having issues with the LGBTQ community. I think we're just having a great discussion here. So with that being said, that's the only caveat I'll give. But, here's the thing, man. It's a tough one because now we're talking about equality and allowing people to be able to compete, not judging anyone for whatever decision they feel is necessary as they look at who they are and what their body, who they are and who they are in their body, if I could say that.
Right. Yeah.
But now we're talking about a biological, and I would almost argue a scientifically proven fact that when you have individuals who are one sex competing with another sex in certain sports that deal with physicality, deal with strength, there's an inherent advantage. We saw it with swimming, with the individual who just went from being 420 in the nation and swimming to turn around and be one of the top individuals. Come on, man, you can't just pass that over. And now we see it right here with the physical aspect of what's going on right now. So I'll start with Terry. I'll start with you on that, and I'll finish with you, Orlando. Of course, Terry, just what's your thoughts on it? And I'll just put the pressure on everyone on this. Can you see trans individuals being banned from sporting competitions or some sports? I know that's a tough question to ask, but I'll put that on you to think about that.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say banned. I'm all for having the conversation because I think it's necessary. I think when conversations and topics like these get hindered and we're not putting enough I can't really say pressure on it, but I feel like they need to be talked about because that's how things get worse when we continue to the elephant continues to get larger, and we tend to kind of forget that this stuff is going on. But I think I'm all for them having their own league. I just like how men and women have their own league, but I do think too. I think there are just natural laws. I think and I say that as of like things happen, like they're just normal. Like there's nothing we can really do to switch that. Like in certain sports, especially when there's like definitely a physical need in that sport, whether it's football, basketball, wrestling, regardless.
It's a game of physicality and not necessarily skill.
Right. And I think, we have to pay attention to that. It's just natural. There's just some things that we can't change. So I can't go as far and say they should be banned, which I know there are those out there saying that. I don't believe that they shouldn't be allowed.
And I use the term ban because I want to say Florida's new bill was talking about banning. And let me just go back to a healthy challenge is something you said. You said they can have their own league, but what if a high school league doesn't have that many trans individuals to support their own league? What if it's one and few between? I was with the Cass Tech football coach the other day, and he said he got 60 guys and one female on his team. And of course, I'm not referencing someone being transgender on the Cass Tech football team, but I say it's such a small minority. Is there enough to be able to set them up? Because then if you do that, man, I'm thinking we're talking about, Title IX, where they got to have everything that's equivalent, so on and so forth. So I just add a little monkey wrench to your response, just because I know you can handle it. You're in your 20s now. You can handle stuff like this, right?
Yeah, it's a tough topic, but I think, the more and more we have conversations with this, the more and more we'll be able to find, adequate solutions and responses to it. I think we just have to have the conversation. I don't think the right approach is banning, but I think we do need to call out the obvious. Like there's an obvious, physical advantage with that taking place. But I think, we do need to talk about solutions instead of just being like, no, this isn't going to happen. Because then again, if we do have a separate league, there may not be enough people. Well, I think we need to find different solutions, which is such a weird answer. I know, because it's like, what solutions, Terry?
It's not cut and dry.
But I think talking about it, though, and finding ways to kind of make it a little bit more even, or making it where they can at least enjoy the sport they love.
Well, in this particular case, Terry, and I'm going to go to you, Orlando, because you are in a position as a high school coach, that you can probably face this issue probably sooner than anyone else. And I'd be curious to know what's been like with your colleagues. But what I was going to say, I don't know if it was in this particular case, this image that we're looking at, but they were talking about that one wrestler received an orbital fracture. That's the same thing that happened in the recent title bout that we just saw over the weekend. Somebody pretty much broke their face, man. Yeah. Now one could argue, hey, it's a tough sport. Those things happen, but we're talking about a genetic disadvantage that someone has, regardless of what change someone had. And I think the Florida bill, and as I go to you, Orlando, made reference to, and it's very generic, but it talked about really what you were at birth.
Right.
And, based on who you were at birth, you couldn't be able to compete with another sex that you weren't at birth, so on and so forth. So, Orlando, like I said, I'm just curious to know, in your coaching career, that really spanned, have you heard about this more closely to what's going on, and what is the discussion, and how do you feel when it comes to a topic of transgender athlete, but particularly a transgender wrestler?
I have, in my coaching history, ran into that situation.
You say you have or you have not?
No, I have.
Okay.
And not my particular sport, but at a school I was coaching at. It's a very, very, very difficult conversation to have, but it's one that we have to have because it's up front and center right now. And I think the bigger issues are really the separation between high school and college, because I think the solution at the college level with the wrestling levels is really testing. hormone levels, testosterone levels. I mean, that can be judged from there. And at the collegiate level, they have the capabilities of being able to pull that off.
So what would be the purpose of testing if someone isn't self-proclaiming and stating? So you're testing to
if they're claiming, if they're transgender, like track and field does now, they measure the hormone levels, and if it goes above a certain level, because we know that once an individual starts taking the female hormones, their muscle mass starts to break down, and they actually become weaker.
Mm-hmm.
So I know specifically track and field, they've come up with a method of just really kind of testing and getting those levels, and if their testosterone level is over a certain amount, they will ban them from competition.
Okay. Now, and it's so great having you, Orlando, with your wisdom, on this subject, just by you being in the arena. So here's my question: regardless of what a person presents, if they present as female or present as male, regardless of what they present physically in their physical outward appearance, it's their hormonal testing that will determine whether they can compete in something or not. Regardless if they present as a male or present as a female, it's their hormonal level which will determine if it's consistent with who they're presenting as, if that makes any sense.
Correct. And I think that's really the only sort of fair way to kind of judge it. But like I said, it would only work at the collegiate.
And you're saying only because of the resources that are available?
Only because of the resources. At the high school level, there's absolutely
no way. Cody don't have no hormonal testing kit that we can...
There is a medical program there, but we haven't got that deep.
Yeah. Okay, I like that. Terry, what do you think about that when you hear what Coach O is talking about, that, kind of like to your own league point, you'll say, okay, I don't care what you present as, we're going to make people compete based on hormonal level.
It's really
equality.
Right. It's really based upon that transition level.
Yeah.
You have the transgender that have not, completely gone through with the process and are in the middle of going through the process versus being completely going through the process.
We just figured it out right here on the SPS Edge Show. We just figure out what you got to do, man. It's just like where you at, where your numbers at to make it most even. Because, again, the whole point is we're talking about who's strong or who's not. And it could be somebody early in the process, later in the process. It's almost like the same weight class. The way you would have a weight class, it would be a hormonal class.
Yeah. I think too, it's the more practical way, too, because those are things that we can actually have statistics to make decisions off of. I noticed, like, today, like, we're more prone to make agree on decisions based off numbers and stats. So I think just having that as a baseline, as a standard for decision making, I think that makes the solution process a lot easier, and I think it's very practical. But I think too, again, with high school, there are some people that are upset because they believe that there are some women that are trying to battle and get scholarships. A lot of them feel like that hinders them from getting scholarships, which I'm all for. With me in my position, I'm more like, there's some people out there that are saying, like, protect women's sports and all this stuff. But I think that and having the hormone testing, I think that gives people a sense of, like, security, of letting them know that, like, this is what we're using and this is actual scientific fact. And I think that just allows both parties to kind of have an understanding of where we're coming from and making the decisions.
I like that. Wow. We thought we had it figured out. And here comes Terry McCoy Sr. with an intelligent statement that make me have to go back and be like, Terry says, wouldn't they still say that's discriminatory if they're not allowed to compete? Yeah, because you're saying you're using hormones and not, the fact that I feel that this is who I am and who I should be. And to Terry Senior's point, I was going to say what we're having is a non-political conversation. As soon as you add the political part in it, where you get, people who are on different sides of the aisle adding their political view to it, I think that's to your point earlier, Terry, and what Orlando said, that we lose the opportunity to have real dialogue. I think right here, this is filtered without having the political aspect to it, but then you add that political part to it, and then it's more so along the lines of what Terry McCoy is saying. But you're right. I think people can argue. I think what's going to have to be agreed upon is what is the standard to be used. If it's a hormonal standard, and that'll help. But to Terry's point, you're right, because somebody can still do it. And I guess the point, as I can say this as we can wrap up, we know this could be an ongoing conversation. I guess my point is this, to Terry's point, you said at the outset, if we don't talk about it and be able to talk about it in a way where you're not crucified for having an opinion about it. I write here, this is a safe space because we're all like-minded, we support each other, but at any given moment, somebody can make a comment and be like, no, I'm not feeling that. Let me just check on something. Okay. Letitia said something. I have to get back with her on that. So with that being said, Orlando gone off that one.
I gotta see. I gotta let me see.
Hey, I'll let you know. I'll let you know in a minute. I don't want to get lost in that. But here's the thing that I'm talking about right now is it's really a matter of being able to have a calm conversation and really, not try to push a particular group away, but still recognize there's a potential to have a little disadvantage of what's going on going forward. So,
can I add something to that, Lindsay?
Absolutely.
And I think a part of the conversation that's not being had, especially, the collegiate level is something totally different. But when you get down to that high school level, the picture that's not being seen is you have an individual that's going through an extremely stressful time. I mean, the decision, to change your sex is a major, major, major decision. And it's an emotional decision. And a lot of these kids, and I'm knowing firsthand, look to athletics and sport to kind of keep their head clear and keep their mind focused and not be that depressed.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of avenues you really.
So they're already going to sports to get an outlet, but then that becomes the point of
contention.
Contention because of that.
Right.
So it's an ongoing thing. We have to watch that. So to our listeners, as you hear things as it relates to the transgender topics in sports, keep us up to date with that. Speaking of great things happen, I want to shout out our guy Horatio Williams. I got a chance to hear Horatio yesterday, as a matter of fact. I was in Detroit doing some things, got to catch up with him. So we want to shout out him as a sponsor. That is the Horatio Williams Foundation. They got some great things coming up and some great things that have been happening we'll talk about. Got Dick's Sporting Goods as well as Gilead Science has been really supportive of what's going on. But I want to talk about some spring football that's been happening as well. Well, before I even say that, I'll talk about the Coaches Clinic. We did experience the Michigan State Coaches Clinic. I was put on by Coach Mel Tucker and the staff. It was down in Detroit. We went over to Marygrove College, the historic Marygrove College. It was cool. Got a chance to sit down with Coach Mel Tucker and chop it up with him. We got about a 6-minute interview going on. It was like 300 coaches in the building. In Orlando, I was trying to get the question answered. I think Terry can add on to this too. Who's louder, basketball coaches or football coaches? And oh my God, without question, football coaches are the loudest group of individuals, dude. Because I'm from the city of Detroit, and I don't jump easy, but they were so loud, man. I'm like, is something about to happen? Something.
Absolutely, especially here in the Detroit area, you get these Detroit coaches. First off, their coaching staffs are massive. You got 10, 15 coaches to begin with, and they're all just boisterous, just
they are.
Hard.
And I finally walk outside, and I'm hearing them. And I see them talk, and they having a regular conversation. Hey, man, but they just so loud. So I say that to say the audio we had to deal with for the Mel Tucker interview, we had to kind of crank it up, man, because it was such a loud thing. But it was a great experience, man. Mel, kudos to Mel, man. He rolled up in the building, solo dolo, fresh off the road, came and got right into it. I won't say he was shaking hands and kissing babies. He was there to put in work, man. He went in and he had a defensive back clinic he did himself. I sat in on that, man, and he was just talking about technique. He was very accessible, took pictures with the guys and whatnot, and just spent a lot of time, man. So shout out to Mel for that. And that took place just recently, April 12th. So that was last week sometime. And then coming up this Monday, this is pretty cool. Michigan is going to be hosting Detroit high school coaches for a social. Actually, the Horatio Williams Foundation is going to be transporting people from Detroit to Ann Arbor. SPS is going to be in the building, as you always know. Spots are limited for that, but Coach Harbaugh said, come on, bring them over to the big house. We're going to show you what's going on. And I haven't experienced yet the experience as it was to all the things they had to show, but I hear it is a marvel what they have up there. And I'm looking forward to being there, and I'm going to bring you some things talking about that. So that's a pretty cool thing we got going on. We got some comments in the queue about Emoni Bates, but who probably we'll definitely get to. So I just kind of want to mention the great thing that the Rachel Williams Foundation has been doing over the years. Orlando, you've been witnessing that, having those coaching forums. Terry, as a former football player, what do you think about when you hear about, a coaching clinic that's hands-on with, Coach Mel Tucker of Michigan State, Coach Jim Harbaugh, University of Michigan? What does that make you think about that coaches have access to something like that, high school coaches, that is?
Yeah, well, coaches always get on players about working on their craft, and I think coaches deserve to practice what they preach too and work on their craft in that way. And big props for MSU and Michigan being able to have, being able to just be available too. I think having those two big schools in your backyard makes a huge difference. A great way to learn how to teach, and just be coachable as a coach. I mean, what a great example for a coach is to have a growth mindset. Be willing to grow, be willing to introduce new stuff to your players and yourself. It creates a very open door environment as a coach and as a team itself, because you can always feel like you can continue to be innovative and bring new ideas to ultimately help your team grow. So, I mean, you can never get worse from learning from college coaches. You can never get worse from working on your technique. So I think it's just a really nice opportunity that happens here in Michigan. We don't have to travel far at all. I mean, you hear different coaching conferences and coaching, different, forums that are happening all over the country, but we have one that's down the street. I mean, from Lansing, about an hour. Whether you're Detroit, you go to A2, different places. So I love that it's very accessible, and I love that Harbaugh and Tucker, are very, very available. Like I said, just being able to come down and see people. Harbaugh hosts them at his facilities. I think that just says a lot of how they care for Michigan football and growing. And I think a lot of these coaches, and Harbaugh and Tucker, know that, man, a lot of these kids I may be recruiting from these top schools. So a great way to build that relationship between college and high school, and man, just high school coaches learning what it's like on the collegiate level, because the collegiate level is changing every day, as we know, and to continue to be up on game with that and to translate that into high school, so then you don't have kids that are going to college and are experiencing, an itinerary for what they need to do for college. It's not like it's something brand new, like they don't have to adjust as much. So I think just being able to learn overall of what it is on the college level, I think will definitely help prepare your kids as a coach to be able to prepare them for the collegiate level, which should be your number one goal.
Yeah, Mel Tucker talked about, he doesn't expect everyone in that room to be able to be recruited, or their school to be able to be recruited at Michigan State. That's just not where they are right now. I mean, you see they're pulling guys from, the national championship team, whatever. It's important to give back and let guys learn. Orlando, I was going to ask you on that topic, from a coaching standpoint, what does it say about the logistics and the resources being dedicated to make one's coaching staff available, whether it's Mel Tucker and his entire staff, or most of them coming down to Detroit on an evening, or, Coach Harbaugh welcoming up individuals like that? From a logistics and resource standpoint, what does that say?
That says a lot. They may not be, recruiting our area or a lot, but we know that there's a few of those kids that are, but they're planting the seeds for the future. I mean, they're offering a tremendous, just their knowledge is, incredible. If you get hired at that level, you're doing something right.
Right.
And our kids and our high school coaches need to learn from the best in order to be the best. So it's huge, because their commitment, like I said, they're not just dedicated to, the state of Michigan. They have the entire country and sometimes internationally that they need to go out there and show their face too. So that shows a huge, huge commitment to the state of Michigan as a whole to be able to do that.
And I think it's awesome that our one sponsor, Horatio Williams, has been the conduit. I mean, both Mel and Harbaugh are on his line. I'm saying, communicating with him directly, because they know through him they can make that connection. So I think that says a lot about Horatio and our connection right there. So with that, we'll keep that going when we transition to the spring games for both Michigan and Michigan State. Michigan spring game was earlier, and I remember when I interviewed Mel, which our listeners, you can go to the YouTube channel, SPS and Mel Tucker, and you'll be able to see the interview. But like his interview with me coming down for the clinic was, 4 days before the spring game. The spring game where Terry was up in the suite, posted up. You know what I'm saying? Give it to him like that. But I think a lot is to be said that they prioritize. So, we got a spring game coming up, and we still want to get down and do it. Terry, you was front and center at the spring game. I had my daughter that weekend. I wasn't able to get over there. But tell me what your take on Michigan State spring game was.
So theirs was different. I forgot how Coach Tucker, implemented his way of spring ball in his spring game. So to me, it was like a glorified practice that felt like in a game environment, bringing the fans in, having the different noises and the smells of food. They definitely made it game-like, which I like that. They also had a guy announcing each drill. And so they had the timer up. So they had, for 2 minutes, we're going to do this drill. Very fast-paced, very precise. They made sure they got every single minute of each drill that they could. And they were very swift about it. They were like moving on to this. The announcer up top lets the crowd know why this drill is important, what's the drill, who's participating in the drill, what to look for in the drill, like very technical, which I love.
Wow, I had no idea that took place there.
And I love the details. So I'm listening and I'm like, oh, cool. I'm trying to tell my girlfriend why they're doing the different angle drill and all that stuff. She has no clue, but I just love hearing that language happening. So it was just really cool that Coach Tucker let everyone in to what's going on. I think that was his mission, being able to let the fans, the boosters, everyone know what's going on and what to look for this upcoming season. But as far as the team itself, that guy that transferred from Georgia, Amir Speed, he's making Jaden Reed, and Jaden Reed is making him better every single day. They absolutely competed the entire time. When they did 7-on-7 in the scrimmage, they competed really well. Expect Keon Coleman to have some great opportunities this year. He's lined up on the outside. They like his speed. They like his change of directions out there. I see the defense, the secondary really improving. I'm seeing some hard hitting. I'm seeing Snow really become in the box and really available as a safety. I'm seeing Kimbrough, who got targeted and got very much burnt last year, but he's looking more physical. He's looking more intuitive to what's going on as a secondary. And the biggest question that everyone's asking, who's replacing Kenneth Walker? I think there are a few guys back there. You got the guy Berger from Wisconsin, the guy that just transferred from Colorado coming in, who was all Pac-12 honorable mention last year. You got different guys that are coming in there. Elijah Collins is back there. Simmons, just different, not Simmons, but mainly Collins back there, 24 I saw. So everyone is kind of having their fair shot. Peyton Thorne looks to get the nod at the starting job, but Hauser, his arm talent, his arm strength is there. One thing I was telling the guys up there, the only thing I wish he'd work on, which he has a ton of time, I mean, he's an early graduate from high school, joining the team in January, is just the arm touch. I think he just needs to put a little more touch on the ball. Some of his passes that were 30 yards deep, which is crazy, he got it that far, but just needed a little bit more touch getting it to the receiver so they can make a play on it. But
you saying arm strength and accuracy?
More so the touch, the arm touch, because the arm strength is there. I think a lot of times he tries to muscle the ball instead of letting the ball float to the receiver and putting it in the different pocket points for the receiver. So I think that's definitely something he could work on. But Thorne looks about the same. I mean, his mechanics look a little better. But I mean, I'm really expecting the defense to be really the big load this year. And I think their offense is definitely going to have to be more of a kind of very explosive. They're going to look for big plays out of Reed. But Reed, I think, has a very good potential to have a great year again. I think he's one of the top receivers. I think he's very overlooked, and they're not really touching on him a lot as far as next year's draft and top receivers in the league in college and NCAA. He's really getting overlooked, and it's sad because, I mean, the dude has a lot of talent, and I saw it displayed again. He had a great catch for a touchdown.
Yeah. Now, I know that's what you got from sitting in the suites at Michigan State Spartan Stadium. Now, I don't think you got a chance to get down to Ann Arbor. Can you give us your take on recapping what you thought about U of M spring game?
I watched that with a close eye, and I.
Orlando. I watched that with a close eye.
I had to make sure I had some eyes on them. But Michigan definitely was a different approach to their game. They didn't cover their spring game.
It was a whole different approach with that too.
Yeah, that's true. But we remember last year they didn't even show their spring game. They went very incognito. They hosted it without without Big BTM being there. It was Harbaugh's choice, but I mean they definitely embodied more of a scrimmage game where they split up the teams and it was like straight 11 on 11 for majority of the way. We saw some really big plays, but I mean Michigan definitely loses a lot defensively. Losing Hutchinson and Ajabo, but I think it's really tough though because Michigan lost a lot of players that they didn't realize they had. I mean, Hill was a great DB. Just a numerous of seniors that are lost on that defense, and I think with their recruiting class, I think they're going to try and reload as much as they can. But that team was just very the chemistry on that defense, man. They were really hungry for that Big Ten championship, and I think to replace that on such a quick turnaround, as you saw with Ohio State last year, it's hard to do that. So I think it'll be really interesting to see what Harbaugh does with this young team.
I think the only teams that are reloading, the best reloading teams are the Alabamas and now the Georgias at this point, as far as just coming back and Clemson. They were doing that. I know you're not going to run through it, Orlando, like Terry did. That's a savant right there. But I will ask you this, to Terry's point about the difference in this season and last season. When you compare Mel Tucker's approach to pretty much a very transparent, detailed type scrimmage, and Colin Kaepernick being one of the main attractions at the Michigan spring game, how would you compare the two when you talk about approaches? With I won't dare say dog and pony show because that's kind of poo-pooing Colin Kaepernick, but it's more of there's more going on with that and what he's trying to do compared to Mel Tucker being nuts and bolts, if you will. What do you think about comparing the two spring games in that regard?
I think you really called it when you said horse and pony show, really.
Yeah.
With Michigan, it's, I don't think Harbaugh really wants to put anything out there particularly. I don't think he's that transparent. And I think if he didn't have to have that game,
he wouldn't.
He'd rather not have it.
So was him having a game more so for Colin, you think? Because like Terry said, he didn't even want to broadcast it last year.
I think it's more for the Michigan fans and alumni.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have to generate that.
Yeah, they had everybody in there. Spike Lee was in the building. I mean, it was a who's who, if you will, of people coming out.
Yeah, because I don't, if you really look at it, how much do they actually make during that? When they make a ton of money. The school itself, you got, tickets, parking, tailgate, and what it does for the local community right around the college. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, interesting to see. We'll keep an eye on that. With that being said, we're going to keep it moving, man. Orlando, I'm going to stay on you right now because you helped bring to my attention. And speaking of Michigan, former Michigan who got cut from a USFL football team for pizza. We talking about pizza, I'm saying in my Allen Iverson voice, what's his brother's name? Devin. Let me get it right. Get his name. Devin Sullivan, I want to say. Former Michigan player with the USFL. And there was a controversy that, during camp, he chose to have pizza. He didn't want to go with the chicken salad that they were offering. And from that, they basically cut him. And I saw the clip where the coach came in and, without ceremony, was just kind of like, oh, that's what you chose? And you out of here. Yeah, it was Devion Smith, cut from USFL team for wanting pizza over chicken salad. And coach kind of cut him and walked out the door. So, Orlando, when you saw that, man, what did you think about that?
When I saw that, I double taked and I went straight like you did, right to the video. And I'm watching because the USFL did a whole documentary piece, as a front to the, the reemergence of the league. And so the coach kind of blamed on the way he asked for pizza. Which, he's showing disrespect to the kitchen staff of the USFL. But the point is, I thought that he explained himself extremely well. There was no profanity used. He just asked to have pizza. He saw somebody else had pizza. He didn't want chicken salad. So he asked for the pizza, and I guess the worker said, well, no, you're getting chicken salad. And so he made a comment. I forgot exactly what the comment was, but it wasn't anything inflammatory, and then got up and left. So since this article came out, the USFL has came back and tweeted out that that wasn't the only incident. You know, there was cumulative incidents, you know, sort of like insubordination that led up to this. But the point is that watching that clip, we saw, and I'm sure everybody out, probably half of America saw, Coach never brought up any other incidents. It was that he wanted pizza. This is absolutely ridiculous.
Tay on that. Tay say we talking about some damn pizza. Shaking my head. You know, as I go to you, Terry, I got 2 words for USFL. Bad luck. That's a bad luck. Because even if it was cumulative, you had an opportunity, you know, in this digital world to be able to kind of justify that. Now you making your brand looking real petty. You know what I'm saying? You cutting this dude over there. Okay, if it was cumulative, so the way he asked for pizza, was that really the final straw? I mean, it's almost like y'all was looking for a way to get rid of him. You know what I'm saying? And they try to tell you to be loyal and be, you know, authentic and be honest, and that happens. So what did you think, Terry, when you caught wind of the Pizzagate?
Well, I did the same thing that you all did, because as someone like myself, I'm thinking like, really, was that the last straw? Or did that really happen, or was it more to it? It's almost like the student and the teacher, but the teacher just told me to get out for no reason. It was like, oh, no reason. Really? Right. It's no reason why she told you to leave, and you find out you in there cussing.
Come on, man. It's like, come on. Too, right?
You in there cussing and playing around with your buddies, and she told you to leave then. That's what really happened. So, but that's why I was like, man, let me go look at this. And honestly, for me, I'm more of a different look, which I agree with y'all. It's a bad look. Man, you got people that are willing to play in this. It's they're trying to come back. You don't cut players over something this petty, because right now, you need anybody that you can get. Maybe he's a potential star in the league that kind of brings that back up. I don't really know.
He was one of the better running backs. I can tell you that.
Right. And it's like you cut a guy like that, man, you need anybody that you can get. You're not really getting many players with that with some skill level in that league right now compared to the NFL. You can't make NFL rules and NFL discipline where you're trying to get guys in the building. It's hard. And especially over pizza. I think that makes it look. I think that makes it look a lot.
Bush league. You look Bush league. Right. Make the brand look whack. You like already right now. That little clip has given people a side eye to the USFL and giving them second tier status. You know, beyond if they weren't, like, for real. And if there was more to it, say what it was, so people can get an understanding. If not, it's like, so now y'all known for pizza. Like as Tay say, we talking about damn pizza. You know what I'm saying?
Right. You need anybody you can get in this league. Like, I mean, it's just starting to get up. It's not really that much coverage right now. And the first thing that's in the headline is you cutting somebody for pizza. That's not good. You don't want that to be the first thing someone looks up about your league. I'm sorry. It's just
like, oh, USFL, they cut my man over some pizza.
Well, my whole thing is, it says something about the league when your dinner choices was either chicken salad or pizza.
How about that? How about that? But then on top of that, I didn't know until you said, Orlando, somebody else had pizza. It wasn't like he was ride or die pizza. Somebody else had it. So you said I can't. So in other words, you saying I'm not making weight. So what was the whole issue? Then you saying it's the way I asked for. It's not a good look for the league. And you do these documentaries, and they're trying to do it. Well, Latasha, hey, shout out to Latasha. She said, terrible look over pizza. It's a bad look over some pizza, for real. I mean, and think about it. And it wasn't like it could have been that great a pizza because it was in the kitchen staff. It wasn't like it came in from a local eatery that's just known for what it was. You know, I throw one at you, Orlando. Pizza Poplar's deep dish seafood pizza. You know what I'm saying? Ain't like it was one of those.
No, you know it's the frozen kind they pop.
Yeah, exactly. Look who's checking in. Hey guys, just joining. Hey, that's my mom checking in. Right now? Yeah, mama, we talking about pizza. People getting cut. Terry, here's what I'm thinking. I know you got some time constraints, but we want to keep you in this. I'm not kicking your NFL draft preview down the road, but what if we held off on that until next week?
Let's do NBA. I've been NBA mode.
Yeah, we can go for NBA, but before we even do NBA, man, I got a lot of comments talking about Emoni and a little bit of college ball, so maybe we can use that as a transition in. Orlando, are you good with that?
I'm good with that.
Okay, so before I get to Emoni, the discussion we've been wanting to have about him, I just want to go back again and shout out our sponsor, my guy, Horatio Williams. I was just with him yesterday. I'm going to be seeing him Monday when we head to Ann Arbor to the University of Michigan. They're going to host us and the Detroit area football coaches, Dick's Sporting Good, as well as Gilead Sciences. So right now, somebody who's been trending, man, Emoni Bates has been trending, no doubt. He's going into the portal. I know that we're at a point now that every time Emoni makes news, there's probably the, symbolic rolling of the eyes. But in this particular case, one, they're saying Michigan may potentially be a landing spot. I would not be surprised with that. It's like you're going all the way to Memphis. Now it's time to come home. Ironically, like I said, we'll be on campus on Monday. I was just in Ypsilanti yesterday, and that's like right in the backyard growing up. That's one thing. But secondly, if I heard correctly, Memphis may be under some NCAA violations. Right. So when you really talk about, you can say, oh, Emoni's always doing the most, but in this particular case, it's kind of justifiable. Like, dude, like it's about to pop off at Memphis. Let me get on up out of here. Let me go into the crib, and go from there. So with that being said, I'll start with you, Terry. What do you think about the talk of what's happening? And before you do that, I got Dion Hoops page. Shout out to everyone in their comments. We're going to get through it. Fellas, be honest. Is Emoni Bates as good as they say? Is it a little overrated? But you know what, Dion, as Terry gets to speak on this and Orlando's on standby, I think this will really tell the story.
Yeah.
Because him coming back, you got the Brandon Johns. Who knows? That's probably why Brandon Johns got up out the building. He was like, I got word that Emoni been sniffing around. Emoni might be coming back. That's somebody they're going to try to put out there, and go from there. Pooh said, I heard Emoni dad's a problem. I know Elgin. I like Elgin. And I like to say this about Elgin. Elgin has his own way about doing things. I don't know to what degree Elgin has been doing things as related to the whole piece with Penny Hardaway, but I just don't expect that his personality would come close to outshining, Penny Hardaway and the Hall of Fame coach Larry Brown down there too. So it's going to be something to see, no doubt. She also says, Emoni, we can't get
18.
He's 18 now. Oh yeah. Okay. For a while, for the last year, we was talking. People's defense of him was that. You're right. He's 18 now.
1 year.
Huh?
Let's say 1 year.
Yeah.
1 year difference.
Yeah. And Deion said, Elgin got to let him grow up, and without me knowing anything specifically, coming back close to home would be one thing. When you talk about coming to a coach who's been known for smacking other people, that's definitely a chance to grow up. So with that, what'd you say, Terry? Terry go,
well, Isaiah, you don't know what's going on at practice now.
Woo! Right. So, Terry, what do you think about Emoni hitting the portal, and what do you think about the possibility? There's a very high likelihood that he's going to be coming to Michigan, being a Michigan Wolverine.
I think I definitely more Michigan than Michigan State for sure.
Oh yeah, I think that train is gone. That's what my ex-wife told me when we was done. She said, "Oh, that train's left."
I think they're definitely Michigan. But my first thought, man, I was just my head. I'm thinking all these transfers. Julius Marble's leaving, and all these people, and I'm like, man, sometimes the grass isn't always greener on the other side. So I think that needs to be said as well. With everyone leaving and going to different spots, it may not be as good as you think because they might get a transfer, they might get somebody else in there. You never know. But I think
Antoine Davis is leaving. University of Detroit. He's leaving his father's care. And they even said this is about NIL. They said he can
this is about that money.
Yeah, it's about that bread.
Where do you think he lands at though?
Oh no! Oh, his list is every top program in the country.
I was gonna say that dude is a baller. I wouldn't be surprised.
Kansas, Kentucky. I'm talking about all the top programs are vying for him. So that's a whole different story. So to your point, Terry, and I'm gonna let you follow back up. Is that you're right? The grass isn't always greener, and these guys are always talking about it. But I think for specific athletes, and I'll put Julius Marble more in a category that it may be potentially greener than someone like Brandon Johns. Now, Brandon Johns is committed to VCU. He can go there and do his thing. But Julius Marble is such a beast, man. And it just may be wherever he goes. Yeah. I can see Julius Marble going to Kansas. Yeah. I can see him going to Kentucky. I can see wherever he goes, he could potentially go somewhere and stand out, and that'll be a ticket to the draft. But that is few and far between. But I'll let you finish with that, Terry.
Well, yeah, I think it's similar now to like NFL and NBA free agency. I mean, you're leaving and you're trying to figure out if that place has room for you. And honestly, you're testing your value too. Whether if you go somewhere, can you make an immediate impact? I think that goes, to say with your name and where you're from, and I think with your skill set. I think Julius Marble, someone that didn't really have many opportunities with Izzo in that state, could end up being somewhere where he could star at. But I think guys like Johns and Bates, you really don't know, which I think, again, it causes him to have more of a detailed look. He has to check at how the system is, how they will treat him, maybe even education route. I don't know. But, I mean, it's just like one of those things where you have to do a deeper dive at what they have to offer for you and your skill set, because you have a game that isn't always transferable to every team. Julius Marble, I can get a Julius Marble. I love a Julius Marble. But if it's a ball dominant Emoni Bates, I don't know if that works for every team. Every team can take another a trash man guy always doing the dirty work. Every team will be open armed for a guy like Julius Marble. But Emoni Bates, who's more of a scorer, needs the ball, still adjusting to his body, that's a harder fit for most teams. So he really has to do a more extensive look to see what fits for him.
Let me tell you something. I want to answer hoop type question. First of all, Hoop said Emoni Bates would not work with Izzo. And I'm going to come to you in a second, Orlando. And also, he said, questions, y'all live up there. Why don't top recruits say yes to Tom Izzo? I'll answer that as I speak on this issue with Julius Marble. I've watched Julius Marble since he's touched foot on campus, even before he really touched foot on campus when he was at Moneyball. He's a man. Great dude. Solid dude. That's when Orlando, when they call them character kids, all that. He overcame a lot. He lost his dad in 2020. He is an engineering student. He's like probably one of the top GPA guys, but he is a man. He is a beast. So I say wherever he goes, whatever fit is going to work, it's going to be it. I just wonder if they're Tom, and I always preface myself, I love Tom. Tom's hard to freaking play for, though. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And not to say any other coach. Shout out to Jay Wright and his retirement. I think somebody just mentioned Jay Wright's retirement. Shout out to him, which is interesting. Jay Wright. Oh, it just hit me. Jay Wright go coach the Lakers. It just hit me. You say no, Terry? You ain't feeling that?
I mean, I'm all for it. If it works, I'm not gonna be that guy.
Jay Wright retiring because he tired, or he retiring to say, yeah, he got USA basketball credentials. He's in the circle. He got that. He got the LA look.
Okay.
I'll put it out there.
Okay. I mean, hey, if anything, the Lakers need anybody. So if it's a Hall of Fame coach, I'm all for it. But I mean, it's one of those where it's like,
that doesn't make a splash for you. That doesn't make a splash. That doesn't make a splash for you.
Not as much as Coach K would be. I think Coach K would be like, whoa. But I think Jay Wright would be something because I'm a basketball head and I know Jay Wright's coaching ability. I think for me, I'll be like, oh, what are they trying to do with that? Because I know Jay Wright's ability, but everyone's looking for the Coach K's or the Mark Jacksons, something like that. I think Mark Jackson would be a great fit.
I don't think Jay is not that bad of a choice, because Jay is the type of coach, and that's what has always impressed me about Jay. Mm-hmm. It isn't strict. They don't play strictly by X's and O's.
That's true.
It's systematic. It's reaction, action, reaction. It's sort of baseless. It's seamless what he does. So,
hold on, who ball is school? Come on, you know me coming with the real good comment. What you mean? Why would anyone want the Lakers job? Why wouldn't they?
I can
see where
want the Lakers job.
Hey, I can see where he's coming from, though. You got a lot of media attention. You're basically in the hot seat as soon as you step in and coach your first game.
Here's I'll put this out here, and I know we got a lot of comments. You wouldn't want the Lakers job if you Jason Kidd. Somebody made a good point. Why you want to go trade off on Luka, who got a great future? But it's only a few and far between people who got jobs. Quinn Snyder, you don't want the job because you in where you in, you doing well. But other than that, short of you having a solidified NBA job with a playoff contending team, whatever, whatnot, everybody want that job. The Lakers, put it this way, the Lakers brand will outlast LeBron's brand in the sense that LeBron got, let's give LeBron at most 5 years. It's still going to be the Lakers. I don't care. You still want that Lakers job when the Lakers is bad. So I disagree with that.
Everything.
I disagree with that. I want to hit Tina's comment. She said, Why can't Tom Izzo change time? Tom did the best he can. You know what? When we saw Tom change, we saw him change when he got Miles Bridges, when he got Jaren Jackson. When he started getting guys he knew would be 1 and done, 2 and done. That's when people like Bo Ryan, you remember Orlando, Bo Ryan said, I ain't going to do it.
Right,
they got rid of Bo. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Player.
It won't never be a major change for Tom. It'll never be a major change, but he'll change a little.
Mm-hmm. That's about as much he can do. But then, you know what? Tom will change a little, but he'll come back harder on whatever he was on. So whatever change he go out there, he'll come back harder. But I think Tom is playing a waiting game. He's like, I'm the last of the Mohicans. Roy's gone. Mike Krzyzewski's gone. All the guys, my contemporaries gone, but that damn Bill Self came and hit it with another one. I don't know if it was Hoop Ball or Scoop that got on me or somebody like, you was talking real.
I think it might have been Deion Hoop's page.
That was Hoop's page. Okay, Deion Hoop's page. Like, you was talking real. Let me go back through some of these comments to make sure we got it. But Orlando, I didn't want to miss you. We were really talking about Emoni, transfer portal, some of these guys. I want to make sure you had a platform to touch on whatever you want to touch on.
No, I'm just, make it real quick. Better the transfer portal than the draft.
Facts.
That's
better off declaring for
that was my fear.
Draft. Okay, I like that.
That was my
fear. Again, I think what's happening is, and I'm getting this story, man, and these coaches are telling me, man, these guys are. We're looking at, like, my dad told me years ago, never quit another job till you have another one. And that's pretty good advice to have.
Right.
A lot of these guys are jumping in the draft, and I think a lot of it is the psychological impact social media has. Just as you post a picture, and let's say you post a picture, Terry, you're like, man, I was killing them with that outfit I had on. Or Orlando, you like, man, we was out here, man. Orlando always posts a picture somewhere with some Caribbean weather or something going on like that. So you post a picture at 10 o'clock at night, you go to bed, you waking up thinking, man, this picture going to get all kind of likes. In most cases it does, but I think that's the same thing with the portal. These athletes are jumping into the portal with the same social media anticipation, Terry, that they're going to get likes and responses in a certain way, and they haven't done their due diligence. And at the end of the day, somebody's saying, well, man, you didn't really have a stellar career where you were. Why am I not interested in what's going to be happening with you now? With the exception of the Julius Marble, Antoine Davis, you know what I'm saying? These type of guys who put up numbers and can find themselves doing something, but that's few and far between. So, with that being said, Terry, we got you for a few moments, man, and I want to flip to the NBA really quick. And why don't you give us a recap? Better yet, let's see what we can do. I want to make sure we get our great guests who've been making some comments. I'm going to read the comments, and we can put it all together just like that. So, for example, let's say NBA playoffs. Moni Williams says, are NBA playoffs popping tonight? Right now, Memphis and the T-Wolves game will be a wild one. Yeah, they came back on them boys hard, man. Wow, they sure did. Moni has a really good question. Can Ben Simmons save the Nets? I say in the word, no.
No. Celtics in a different kind of gear. This is the hump. The Celtics have been waiting to kind of make the jump, and a lot of it is coaching.
Yeah. Mike, go back a little bit on the college just to make sure we acknowledge Mike Hoopspay. We appreciate you. What MSU team going to look like next year? Are you shocked Brown Bingham didn't return and Christie into the draft? Can't wait to get your take. You know what? Let me just answer that. Does it seem like everybody's straight on Izzo right now? Is it to the point where his old school coaching style has gotten to the point where his players have had enough, and rather than, with the exception of Joey Hauser, Joey Hauser will be the only one still left.
I was going to say, he's happy to come back.
As soon as I get a chance, I'm out. Jay Wright retires after 21 years at Nova. What's his overall legacy at school? Amazing.
Absolutely amazing.
Class act.
Within 2 years, amazing. And to be honest, I think because it's Villanova, even though technically, I thought I hit you with the historical question. Can we still call Villanova close to being a blue blood based on his past history? What do we say about Villanova? That's a title.
I think it's a prestigious school. I think it has its reputation of always being competitive and a great system school, I would say.
Yeah. Well, I think we got to get our boy Deshaun Tatum here, but I think what Jay Wright has done, he has elevated the program.
He's definitely
on in that regard.
Definitely.
So you got to give him that.
I mean, the last championship before the one in 2016, I believe, around that area was 1985. So I think that should go to say that he's really elevated the program.
And the only reason I make the blue blood question, I remember the Villanova-Georgetown battles back with the Big East and all those type of things early on. A lot of great players came through Villanova. whatnot. So it's always been on the cusp. Rocket Watts leaves Mississippi State and enters the portal. Maybe he should have stayed at Michigan State. I think I was having a conversation with somebody about that recently. A lot of people have made that statement. He could have, but I think Rocket represents that generation of athletes. They bouncing, man. You know what I'm saying? They bouncing. It's like, what's going to happen? And you wonder, should he have? Getting back to the NBA.
But real quick, that whole staff, though, right? In Mississippi, the whole coaching staff got let go. So,
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
That's it. Tion Green, shout out to Tion for changing his emoji before he got magic on there. Said, make it clear, I am not a woman, because last time he had a pink one, right? We see you, Tion. Devin Booker is out 2 to 3 weeks, and Chris Middleton's out 3 to 4 weeks. Yeah, man. Hey, you can't mess around, man, because it used to be these early playoff games weren't, you could pretty much count on who's gonna get it, man. But they be battles, and if the main players aren't available, that's gonna be one thing. Shout out to Pooh real quick. Pooh said, "Have you all watched HBO Winning Time?"
Yeah,
absolutely.
I've been falling in love with it, but let Jerry Russ said that they lying. He said they lying on me.
Magic don't like it either. You see, he came out with his own. He like, nah, that's not doing.
But I wonder. Well, I did see Larry Johnson, who's the nephew of Magic Johnson. He's social media friend. I know him. And he's like, that's not his grandmother. He's referring to Magic's mom. He said, that ain't my mom. Excuse me, that ain't my grandma. So yeah, it's made for TV, whatnot. But I'm taken by it.
He's exposing a couple of personalities too.
Well, I think it's like you don't know what to believe, but it's putting it out there real quick. Shout out to my guy, Coach Demetrius Ware. What's going on, Coach? I'm glad you're checking in. You know Coach Ware, Orlando. You know Coach Ware? Mm-hmm. You know Coach Ware down in the city doing this thing. He said, what is those staff going to look like? Hey, man, between the staff and the players, I don't know what's going on. Hey, we might get calls. Y'all ready to go, Coach?
I'm ready to go. I'm always ready.
I'm ready to go? Hey, Coach Demetrius, I don't know what it's going to look like, but I think that Izzo's going to always have great people who want to come on board and do things. I think it's just going to be different from what we've seen. Terry, I do want to get you before you get out of here. Looks like shaping up for the Warriors. All right, the Warriors come together. They got that cultural pedigree. And lastly, what does Kevin Durant got to do to get on track? Hey, man, it just might not happen. And one thing I don't like, though, I'll throw this to you, Orlando. Mm-hmm. Why ain't Kyrie? Steve Nash getting burned in the media? Mm-hmm. Steve Nash came into this role. You know what I'm saying? Got a hell of a coaching position. Just walk right into it. And he over here underperforming, if you want to go there. Now, they'll talk about Doc Rivers all day long. You hear them talk about Doc all day long. Doc, if Doc's shoe ain't tied, they're going to talk about it. You know what I'm saying? But Steve Nash, you ain't heard one word about Steve Nash in the media. You cannot tell me. And they put it all on Kyrie, all, whatever, KD ain't strong enough. Well, what about this great coach that y'all gave this job to? I just put that out there. What do you think about that, Orlando?
No, it's just amazing. There's not really what's the term that he has the complexion for the affection.
Hey, there you go.
It's just it'll all come out in the wash. But I mean, the battle. I see looking down at the comments. Latasha Prince.
Yeah, that's family right there.
You're not going all the way.
Celtics right now. The Celtics got what they call the double D. Defense and depth. That's a hard team to beat right now. I don't care how close the score. It's just enjoyable watching them to see defense played like that.
Hey, T.I. All right, T.I. I got to give it up, man. T.I., you good. Orlando saw it. He like, what did the female say at the beginning of the show? You know you want to go. She said I could have went off camera when I was blowing my nose the last time. So I had all kind of crazy stuff coming. I didn't think it was like that. But I thought I could get away with it. But Letitia, you got your comment read. T.I. wants to know, T.I., you supposed to be my guy, whatever or not. And then my mama said, add Jason Tatum. This is what we're going to do, man. We're going to kind of put a pin in it right now. We at the hour mark. This has been a great show. It's been great to have you guys on here. We're going to get back next week when the actual draft will be that Thursday. So I guess with Terry, when he gives his draft preview, it'll be a pre-draft piece. But I want to thank you guys for joining the show. Thank everybody for supporting what's going on. By next week, we'll give you some more information about the trip to Michigan for their hosting of the Metro Detroit area coaches and whatnot. What Tion says, he said, I saw that last week. Too funny. My bad, y'all. I did not have great digital media etiquette. I should have just removed myself completely. I thought I could get away from it. When you're sitting in your home, you get comfortable. So my bad. You got me. So with that, Terry, thanks for all that you do. Happy belated birthday. Coach Watkins, thanks for all that you do. And right at an hour, we're getting up out of here, and we'll see you guys next week. Take care.